Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with fabulous concert programs number 106 and number 10, and the last, I'm sorry to say, for now anyway, in our series of American Neo-Classicists. Now, one of you in the comments made some sort of offhand remark that I found delightful. You said something like, well, having a program that consisted of 4 short, peppy American neoclassical symphonies would be box office death. And, well, yes, it probably would be. So that's why I did it. But I did it with a concept. And I think this concept is really, really interesting. And I think promoted properly, it might not be box office death, but you know what? I don't care, because we're never going to see these things live anyway, and you can listen to them at home. And it can be, home death, whatever you want to call it. But I think this is a really cool program, and I think the concept is rather interesting. The concept is the history of Western music in 4 American symphonies, told chronologically. That is the history, not necessarily the symphonies. Let me explain what I mean. The first half contains 2 symphonies. The first is the Symphony No. 2 by Meredith Willson. Now, Meredith Willson, you may know, was the guy who wrote The Music Man, the musical, but he also did some symphonic writing and other things as well. He was quite a fine composer. This is one of the joys that I experience when I go through the overflow room, because I was digging through the letter W recently. If you've been watching that series, you know that. And these symphonies popped up. So I plonked it on. I said, well, gee, this could be the basis of a whole fabulous concert program. And I hadn't heard the thing in years. Symphony No. 2 by Meredith Willson. It's based on Chant, Gregorian chant. So our American symphonic series begins with early music. That is the history of Western music, Gregorian chant. Now, it doesn't sound a lot like Gregorian chant. It sounds American. It sounds like Meredith Willson. But that's the basis for it. And we follow it up with Lucas Foss, his Symphony No. 2. Now, Lucas Foss's second symphony is equally intriguing. It's subtitled Symphony of Chorales. It's based, movement by movement, on Bach chorales. Yes, indeedy. So we're moving forward in time from Gregorian chant to Lutheran chorales as interpreted by Bach. And again, Foss's symphony, yes, it has chorale-like passages, but you would never mistake it for Bach. It's completely American. And Lucas Foss, by the way, is really a fascinating composer, and he wrote 4 very, very interesting and worthy symphonies, which have been recorded by the Boston Modern Orchestra Project under Gil Rose. I reviewed them at ClassicsToday.com, so you can go and have a look at that review if you're curious. And, they're wonderful works. So we have Chant, and then we have Bach, and we're moving forward in history as interpreted by American neoclassical symphonists. So after those 2 marvelous exemplars, we all go away for intermission, and after mission we come back and we get Beethoven, specifically Beethoven's First Symphony, which humorously pops up in Roberto Sierra's Symphony No. 1. Now, Sierra is a wonderful composer. He's Puerto Riqueño. And, often his music has this sort of Latin American vibe, which he uses, I think, pretty sophisticatedly. It's not tacky. He's a smart guy. But his First Symphony is not Latin American at all. It begins with a gloss on the opening of Beethoven's First, and bits of Beethoven's First sort of come and go gesturally. The music is in a completely contemporary language. It has no real reference to Beethoven, but there are ideas. The scherzo, for example, the trio of Beethoven's scherzo is clearly something that shows up here, the very opening of the finale. It's really, really cool to hear these little things flit in and out of the dialogue. And so Beethoven, specifically his first neoclassical Beethoven, if you will, is the influence in Roberto Sierra's First Symphony. You hear it very clearly before it goes off and totally does its own thing. It's actually a wonderfully tart and acerbic little piece, full of wry gestures. I just think it's marvelous. And then we conclude with John Biggs. Who's John Biggs? Good question. Well, he wrote a couple symphonies. His first symphony, this one's unbelievable, is based quite clearly in its outer movements on the outer movements of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony. So we go from the classical period to the Romantic period as interpreted by American Neo-Classicists, because John Biggs's symphony only has 3 movements, not 4, but it begins with a fate fanfare in slower tempo before moving on to the allegro and the finale. The finale is a riot. Oh my goodness. I mean, if you know the finale of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony with its swirling, rushing strings and little folk song thing with the triangle behind it and all that, you're going to listen to this and you're going to go, oh my goodness, he didn't. Yes, he did. He went there, and he went there with completely original thematic material, with really completely original formal processes too. But you know what he's thinking of, and you know where it came from. So these 4 symphonies take us from Gregorian chant through Bach to Beethoven, winding up with a neoclassical glance at Tchaikovsky, of all people. And they're all vintage American neoclassical works that sound American and neoclassical. I think that's pretty extraordinary. And I think it shows us something of the richness and variety and just the amazing level of fantasy and invention and quality that exists within this very vague American neoclassical rubric. I hope this program and the 9 preceding programs have given you a sense of some of the amazing treats that await anybody who has the opportunity to listen at home. Because like I said, we ain't going to hear them live, which is such a pity. But wow, what fun there is out there, just waiting for you to sample and savor it. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.